fly! Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another Sketchpad video. I'm adjusting my fat butt in this chair. And this may look like a normal size Sketchpad, but I actually zoomed into webcam because it's actually like this big. It's tiny. There was a point in time when I was investing more in tinier Sketchpads so I can take them anywhere I went. And whenever I thought of an idea, I would just draw it on the spot. I don't really do that as much now since I don't really go out as much as I used to. And also, bigger pages gives me a lot more freedom. So, and this is also the point in time when I was dating them too. I wish I kept going with that. It would make things a lot easier. So this is from October 2017 to November 2017. So anyway, let's just begin right away with this guy. His name, apparently, this is an Inktober video sketch I made, and his name is Cheekbone. I'm assuming because why is the fucking thing doing this? If I zoom in, okay, you see that? No, I didn't think so. But this guy, I think I called him Cheekbone for the obvious reason. He's got fingers coming out of his cheeks. So he's got cheekbones, literally. It's supposed to be some sort of character. I don't know who this was. I can already know a few mistakes. I don't know about the rest of you, but I have noted several mistakes. One, the eye is too close to the nose, and there's just an empty space where my finger is. Neck is way too thick, and neck is a little too long. I'm not even sure if this is supposed to be an existing character. Maybe it's supposed to be Alice with a ponytail. I don't even know. Ooh, this is interesting. This seems like at least a very early sketch, if not the first, of Elizabeth Darlington. And as you could tell, her name was originally Elizabeth Salem. I totally forgot her name was originally Elizabeth Salem. And she had these big white eyes, big circle white eyes, and she was more proportionate like a regular human being instead of taking the like scrawny arms, thicker legs approach. And this is before I envisioned her as more doll-like. In fact, her skin tone wasn't really decided yet. As most of you know now, her skin is gray, but back then it was either going to be like paper sheet white or Caucasian white, but a very pale Caucasian, like she didn't get enough. Also, she had a normal sized neck. She was obviously very proportionate as like a normal human being. This drawing still isn't pretty bad. Another sketch of Elizabeth Salem, Elizabeth Darlington now. You could see here just a point in time when she had like scrawny proportions. That's how I originally envisioned her. Her scissor blades are there and her stockings are there. They were just not colored in, or maybe they weren't supposed to. I'm not sure. This was obviously a sketch that was not finished. Ooh, who's this guy? Inktober 5. What's it called? Nicotine. His name is Nicotine. And as you can probably tell, he's a smoker who got engulfed in his own habit. Even though there was a point in time when I used to smoke and really... here's a sketch of Alice Darkson from this point in time. She was very scrawny then. She didn't really have a lot of meat on her bones. Not much muscle. Very subtle muscle. I see some like depth in her shoulders. That was kind of it. She didn't really seem like that much of a brawler back then. Especially, and she definitely is not the character she is now. So, let's see what we got here. Maybe there's more Alice Darkson characters. Ooh. Arts. Oh, this is some sort of commentary. Because I see there's taxes. Taxes, very subtle commentary. Fired, overdue. There's like a little guy in here who's like, oh no. Very subtle commentary. We'll not be able to guess what this is about. What does it say about society? Gosh. Oh, and here's Bendy fan art. Which I do kind of like the idea of. He's got these squiggly arms. For those that don't know, I like Bendy and the Ink Machine, but I do feel as if it's a little disappointing that the first game at least didn't really do a lot with the cartoon aesthetic. I feel like they could have done more with like surreal visuals or stretchy enemies and whatnot. And the later game, the Dark Revival, became more like a BioShock type game. It became less about cartoons and more themed around ink, which I feel as if still kind of works. I feel as if that's definitely an improvement in a different direction from personally what I would have done, but that's kind of just a thing. It's just a different approach from what I would have done. I really would have just done more like, take the cartoon aesthetic and use cartoon logic and more surreal logic to exaggerate it. And there's a very poorly drawn skeletal All Might giving a thumbs up. Very poorly drawn. Oh god, doesn't really look that good. He's like, but anyway, here's a cartoon man with some notes. Let's see. There's not much really noteworthy in these notes. That is a little spoilery. I'll skip that. Here's a cartoon depiction of the We Don't Talk About gang, featuring a later animated interpretation of Lil Abortion and his gang, Marky Potfly, I should say. And originally I had a baseball that was going to be called Sally, but at one point I decided to replace them as a bag. Later on, I just kind of decided that I should go back to the baseball effect. There's another sketch in here of an animated depiction of the Sally character as a baseball that I really like the design of. That'll be in another video, though. Here's more depictions of other characters from the Tug universe. There's a Voodoo. In fact, I have Voodoo's actual... Hang on. There he is. This is what he's based on. Literally just an animated interpretation of that. Then there's Weirdo. So I had a character who was literally just a creeper plush, and in fact I still have that creeper plush, and I figured, oh, make him somewhat original, just somewhat alter his design to be creeper-esque. And there was a character called Sally Stripe. They were going to be a 90s jacket, I guess, and since her name is Sally, I guess they're going to be a part of the We Don't Talk About gang, until I decided to go back to the baseball. I haven't done anything with the We Don't Talk About gang in years, by the way. I keep wanting to. They were supposed to be like Tug's rival, but I don't really do as much with Tug as I used to. Animated interpretations of Magi and a character named Shine. Shine was supposed to be like Jack, the Terror Skull's lover at one point. She was going to be more sensitive, but more into cruel stuff in a subtle way. Magi apparently was going to have a beard. He was going to try, I guess, and be a mix of all of his other designs, which is kind of neat. What sucks about this is that I do have the painting he's based on. I made a painting back in 2013 that was actually of this character. In fact, that's the painting he's coming out of. But it's in storage right now, unfortunately. Same goes for Magi and a few other things as well. I mean, storage is literally right outside, but I am not opening the shed just to show one glance of something. Here he is, a more updated version of Ambersine. Take it or leave it. These are all part of the Tug universe too. Not sure what these are. Oh, these were concept enemies for a game I wanted to make. It was going to be a short, little endless kind of platformer, but instead you were constantly jumping upward, and it was going to be starring Turbo, and these were some of the enemies. I still like this guy. I could use a little more mean factors to his face, but overall, not bad. This is a character that would eventually become the Engineer of Heat. I do like the idea of sentient furnaces. I don't know why. Just giant sentient furnaces and sentient factory gear just really makes me happy. What's this guy called? Naked Tattoo? Naked Tattoo Dog? I guess naked implies that he's shaved. And that's not fur, that's tattoos. Very, I would say, I'm assuming this guy was maybe another version of Hexsap from Alice Darkson, or I wanted to make a Cheshire Cat-like character, from Alice Madness Returns, but as a wolf. It's kind of neat. There's this guy. I'm not sure what his deal is, but he's got a big old thing for a head. Who's this guy? This is some kind of masked feller. And a hammer. I'm not sure if it was going to be his hammer or not. I can't tell you with a lot of these. Oh, this is concept art for that platform fighter character selection screen I wanted to make. I guess you're going to be able to choose the stage at the bottom of the screen, have all your settings just on one screen, which I like the idea of. I don't know what the hell that is. That's a big old fella. I guess maybe this is meant to be an interpretation of YouTube, because it does have, like, what symbols the shape of the play button. Who the hell is this kid? Eddie and Cyclop. He's a little dude. He's a little character of some sorts. Very neat. I'm not sure if he was going to be used for anything. A lot of these characters I had ideas for. And, oh, you know what? I did have an idea at one point. I was going to make a series involving, like, paper puppets. And it was going to be based on fairy tales. Like, this is obviously meant to be like Moby Dick. And it's a pirate who was going to go after him. And here's a stick figure, very detailed, elaborate stick figure called Sketch Boy. I've always wanted to do something with stick figures. It feels like, as someone who is an amateur animator who does stuff for Newgrounds, I feel like it is my responsibility to do at least one thing involving stick figures. It is my responsibility, my role as an amateur Newgrounder. Gotta do one thing with stick figures. Not sure who this is. Oops. Oops is right, because this was never completed. This is a Steven Universe styled character, obviously. It looks kind of like Jasper a little bit. Maybe it was trying to make an original character, and they just came off as Jasper wearing a button-up. And there's a Beat Bart. Look at him. You know, I kind of like this guy. I like robots that are able to create, like, expressive faces. So this guy's kind of up my alley in this regard. He's a very cartoonish robot. I like cartoonish robots. This is, I guess, another attempt to draw a wave that came in 2017. That is awful, by the way. That is the worst wave drawing ever. Look at that. I think I wanted to make her look like a tomboy at this point, but it just didn't really work out. So I pushed more, like, she still looks like a tomboy now, I would argue, but she's more on the feminine side. In comparison to this, at least. She has longer hair, larger breasts, wider hips. This was, like I said in earlier videos, a point in time when I was being a freaking prude. Here is an insane cartoon character. I used him as a base for the intro of Cartoon Asylum, so to put things into perspective, this is when the series Cartoon Asylum was coming to be, if I'm correct. Here's actually... Oh, you know what? The Sketchpad, I'm starting to realize, is actually kind of important. At one point, I wanted to create another platform fighter. Remember the idea of, like, I had where, like, I wanted to make a series full of, like, cartoon characters of different styles? Well, this was like the first sketch of an idea of, hypothetically, what if there was a platform fighter that took similar approach to Cuphead, where all the characters are hand-drawn, but they're based on different eras and forms of animation. Some would be traditional, some would be digital, and their character archetypes would actually take advantage of the style of animation. Like, you're probably going to see him in here. There was like an 80s styled character who's based on like Transformers, who would be slow and heavy, but I figured, since considering like sometimes how choppy or forced to be on model a lot of those 80s cartoons used to be, that it would work for that archetype to be like a tank, since hits would be slower but beefier, and this guy was like a 1930s styled gorilla. I guess he would have had stretchy limbs. He would have been a grappler like Donkey Kong. There's an alien. I'm not sure what era he's based on. I can actually bring this into the camera further now, and it won't get blurred. That is cool. This was a hypothetical logo for a podcast series that's no longer going, called Hotel Pub 103. It was supposed to be like a coffee kind of vibe, even though I don't drink coffee. I actually don't like coffee, believe it or not. I'm not a coffee guy. I love hot chocolate, though. Hot chocolate is the friggin' bomb! Oh! Here's another sketch for a character that was going to appear in that game. And I really liked him, apparently, because there's a fold here. I guess to point out his page better. He's from the 1920s, so he probably would have been black and white. He's a boxer, obviously. You know, I think I'm starting to realize what's causing that brightness problem. It's my freaking window. It totally was. I'm learning, people, I'm learning. I have this thing called a brain, you see. I feel like if, like, I made a few more sketches of this guy, And later on down the line, his design's the same. I really think I hit the nail on his design. I think his gloves are bigger and more exaggerated. But overall, this guy hasn't changed that much. There's an incomplete octopus. Very sophisticated octopus. Let's see. What the fuck is that? I think I just wanted to draw a weird character. I don't know what this is supposed to be. Thunderstrike. I think he was designed to be a hypothetical wave character. A bird with electricity powers. Not entirely sure. There's a very cute sketch of an Alice chibi hitting Zen in the head back when he was still Zack. Very cute. I could draw cute things. Ooh! Here's back to that cartoon platform fighter I wanted to make. Here's a stage I made concept art for. It's gonna be a pirate ship. And it was gonna have this giant kraken octopus cartoon being like the source of the hazards. I kind of like this drawing. The water is drawn very messily, I will say. But I still like this. I like this as a concept. I like the idea of the dancing fish. Look at him, he's fucking smug as shit. The crazy generic clown. Another clown, but except he's a bit more interesting and psychotic and actually filled the screen with ha-has. Very interesting. Very cool. There's a little pumpkin man with a pumpkin friend. Aren't you a cute little biscuit? Hey, a cute little biscuit. This is a point in time when I was really starting to figure out I liked pumpkins. Because here's another pumpkin related thing. He's a candle trying to separate himself from a bunch of sentient pumpkins that has attached themselves to him. This is before Cackling Pumpkins, by the way. A year before Cackling. Yeah, exactly a year. So this was the point in time when I was just discovering, yeah, I like Halloween stuff. What is this? I don't know. What are you looking at? Well, you apparently, little character. She looks like she could be like either another version of Gem or an early version of Faith. Faith didn't exist around this point in time. But apparently I liked them a lot because there's another fold. Let's see. Oh, 1908 Welsh. This was another concept for a character for that cartoon fighting game. There was a stop motion animation that came very early in the age of animation. And I thought, you know, I didn't know, like, this actually isn't, but I thought it was, like, you know, based on the first animation ever. Of course, I know that's not the case, but he's still a cool idea for a character. He would have been stop motion. 1930s Wally Walrus. Pirate ship stage, most likely his stage. Not the most interesting design, but you could see what I was going for. Here is that 80s Transformers character, Heatstorm. There he is. Not the most interesting design once again, but you could get the idea. In the game, he would have moved very choppily, and his punches would have had a lot of weird kind of hits to them, where it would have been like he reels back, and then instantly he's already punching, even though it's meant to be a slow hit, and it's meant to be that because a lot of 80s cartoons were constantly forced to be on model. They weren't allowed to do a lot of squash and stretch, and also sometimes they could have not the best quality of animation. I feel like I could have done more unique things with this guy's design, though. He just looks like a bootleg Transformer. Originally, I think his name was going to be something different, but I looked up the name, but it was the name of an actual Transformer. I think the name was Firestorm or something like that. Ooh! The very first sketch of Jack in the Box. They were originally envisioned for this game. They were going to be based on like Ren and Stimpy 90s-esque cartoons, but with Tom and Jerry flair. As you can see, I did a lot to change their designs and personalities when I incorporated them for my short liquidation of the Self. And they were designed to, instead of being 90s characters, be more like 1930s theatrical short characters, like their inspirations, Tom and Jerry. And here's just a generic 2000s protagonist who would have been, I guess, maybe a sword fighter. His long-ass nail probably would have been used as a sword. Once again, clearly I had a vision with, like, using different art styles, and I knew how to replicate the styles, at least. I just didn't know how to make, you know, good designs that were unique. Like, this guy isn't bad, it's just, you'd think that there'd be more to him, right? It just feels like he's missing something. There isn't much to him, unfortunately. Our 2010 character, I remember her. Her name is Harp. She was going to be an angel based on Adventure Time. Like I said, not the most interesting design, but at the same time, I would say I still did the style pretty well. Maybe a little too much detail in the limbs. They should be a little more noodly, if you get what I'm saying.
That's all, fucks.
Oh, I still like this guy, Mr. Shake. I drew this guy actually not too long ago, but in like, once again, more interesting. The idea is like this guy isn't meant to be based on any specific era. He's meant to be based on just fast food mascots. So for the game, we would have taken a bit of inspiration for that kind of stuff too. And here's the first sketch of Apple. Well, his name then was Applejack, as some of you may know. Well, actually, no. No! I don't think I ever showed this guy off. I was going to create a project called Apple Newton. And you know what? I don't want to talk about that. That might be getting the spoilers. But hey, if that project ever does come to be, you saw this before anyone else did. There's some penned girl. She was drawn with pen. I think I drew this at work. I would bring a lot of these sketchpads when I used to work at a Sunoco gas station. She was... I kind of like her jacket, but at the same time, there's not really much to her. I'm not even sure if I gave her a name. I don't think I did. The fuck? There's just some generic... I don't know who he is, like a soldier or a factory worker. Not really much to him. These were sketches I was going to use a base for a video where I was going to have like a short bit involving art. This is meant to be like a young version of me, I think. Or just random kids. I'm not sure. They're supposed to be... This is supposed to be some sort of sentient building. Not exactly sure what his story is, though. I don't know, I was thinking of something real interesting. Yeah, it's Cuphead, but incomplete. There's Crash, but weirdly human proportioned. This was another character I was working on for that platform fighter. Obviously, you could see, like, to clarify, I'm not a brony. But I also did think, like, I do like the character designs of the show. So I figured, like, you know what, why not expand upon it? This character is called Freeze Frame. I'm assuming they would have had ice abilities. Ironically enough, there is a fighting game in that style. It's called, it's called Dem's Fightin' Herds. And I've always wanted to play it because I do like hand-drawn games and I like fighting games. Especially unique fighting games. This guy here, he's actually going to be a little important because I'm actually doing something with a character that actually evolved from this. Maybe not this exact drawing, but I'm not sure if it would even be out by the time this video is. But there's a character who's going to look kind of like this, who's appearing in a project that I have yet to start work on, but I want to work on. So, yeah, blank page. Tongue Twister. This guy's just some Ben 10 inspired creature. Maybe he's meant to be like a Ben 10 alien, not sure. Concept Rex. Oh yeah, he's meant to look like concept art, so that's why there isn't really much to... It's a fucking fold paper! You freak. There isn't really much to his design, but that's because, well, that's the idea. He's meant to look like concept art. Maybe he was also made for that fighting game that never came to be. This looks like it would have been vent art. I'm not sure what about, though. I'm not looking to be reminded of old problems. This guy, I think, was going to be a character in that game, too. He's going to be based on School of Rock. That's why he's a scientist. A nerdy Poindexter. He would have been our 70s fighter. Let's see. There's a beat board. Not much to that beat board. There's we're gonna call him Jim. I don't know what he is. There's a Slender Man-like character. I think he was gonna be used, I'm not sure what he was gonna be used for. He looks like a mix between the Slender Man and All for One from My Hero Academia, but with, like, stitching. And I think that might have been the inspiration, like, making a mix between those two characters. There's Elizabeth again. This is when I was clearly envisioning her story more. Not much really changed about her besides her proportions, honestly. And I'm sure some people would prefer these proportions, too. And to be fair, I kind of like when she was stickly as well. But I also... The reason I decided to thick her out was because, for one, I'm a degenerate, and two, I just also wanted to make her look different from a lot of other characters. I felt as if she looked derivative from a lot of other creepy girl characters who also all were stickly, so I figured like thickening her out would make her stick out more. Here's a 1960s fighter for that cartoon game. He obviously was meant to be based on Scooby-Doo. What was that monster's name? It was not Miner. It was not that Miner guy. It was a different dude. But this guy was called the Deep Sea Corpse. And obviously he's just a guy in a costume because you see the strings on his tentacles. And the idea, he probably would have been a grappler inside the game. That's what it seemed like. There's our 50s inspired character. Obviously he's meant to be based on Hanna-Barbera. Larry Lizard. He looks like not Huckleberry Hound. He looks more like a lizard version of Quick Draw McGraw, whatever. It just seems like I made a lizard version of that character. Like I said, it seems like I was good at replicating these styles, just not at making like good, unique designs with them. There's a little cat character. Look at the man. There's a Dr. Seuss inspired character. Shrix and the... what does that say? Furramajig. I'm assuming he's like Thingamajig but with fur. I'm guessing he would have been like a Olimar-like character, and he would have been able to throw these Furramajigs at other characters. There's a lot of characters I made for this hypothetical game that just never came to be, and it's a shame. It's a dang shame. That's just incomplete. That's just a cute little chibi of, I think, Scarlet Fallen. You're getting there. Experiment more. Oh, thank you for the encouraging note past me. I think that is a character from OKKO. I forgot their names, though. There was like this team of characters. And they went by colors, and this was the black variation, and I forgot what her name was. I forgot the name of the characters. Oh, it was Red Action, so I'm thinking this might be Black Action or Black Rose, I'm not sure. But yeah, I appreciate that character design from OKKO. You better as well. Ooh, this is a creature I was going to make for Another Dimension. You could try and read that. But as you can see, I still like him. I really like him. What is this? Perhaps regret would be a stalker following those who are filled with guilt. Apparently I was going through some shit. But that is it. That's this Sketchpad. This is the Sketchpad from October 2017 to November 2017. I wish I could find others that were further back than this. I really do. I do have a DeviantArt that I don't use anymore that goes even further back, so maybe I could do that for an episode. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this one. Hope your day is beautiful, and I hope it gets even more beautiful. Your connection will be strange.